Now, I would like to move on to the final panel discussion, Lab to Cloud, Modernizing Diagnostics with LIMS, PACS, and Imaging Informatics. This session will focus on digital diagnostic transformation, AI in imaging, and workflow integration. I would like to invite our esteemed panelist on the stage, Dr. Sunita Kapoor, Director and Lab Head, City X-ray and Scan Clinic, Pooja Chatra, CIO Onquest Laboratories, Dr. Suraj Srivastav, Founder and CEO SODL, and Dr. Alok Sharma, R&D Head and Tech Director, Dr. Lalpath Labs, Yash Chaudhary, Co-Founder of Labs. This session will be moderated by Dr. Ravi Gaur, Chairman, Medical Advisory Committee, Onquest Laboratories, and Founder, DRG Path Labs. Let's welcome them on stage with a huge round of applause.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here with the esteemed panelists who are here. I know this is the last panel, and you must be hearing a lot of things, and there may be many things will be repetitive today. But probably the theme of this session was the smart hospital. We're talking about technical adoption, smart hospitals. And I'm thankful for the Digital Health News to bring a very important topic because of diagnostics here. Because 70% of decisions in healthcare in hospitals happen because of diagnostics. So whatever decision a hospital has to take, they definitely need to involve diagnostic today, and without that, nothing will work. And that's the session we are talking about today, modernizing diagnostic with LIMS, PACS, and imaging informatics, lab to cloud. There is a small data which is available today, which was sent to the group also, you must be aware. The Indian digital pathology market is projected to grow by about approximately $450 million in 2025 to $1.6 billion by 2031. That's a CAGR of 22.5%. That's the opportunity, that's the growth we are looking for. And India ranks second probably globally when we talk about the LIMS startups. We have n number of startups in India, probably next to you is probably after that. And the PAC market, in Indian telemedicine sector, everything is exponentially growing to almost by 31% CAGR. And that's a great thing. And that's where the diagnostics can't be left behind. So we are talking today about the diagnostics, how diagnostics can be, is working today, where do we stand today, and what is something. The biggest challenge, I think, probably see wherever we are. The Indian diagnostics we have reached, I think we have heard a couple of labs, and we have senior members with us. We'll be talking about their experience, what they're working on. We have reached a stage where using AI in the labs. But still, many of us are still standing behind a printer. This printer is not working. How do I get my report? I think this is the diverse, the end extreme kind of we're working on. Similarly, most of the lab, we are all talking about what we had earlier, Manipal Hospital talking about paperless kind of a thing. We have everything we have digitalized this, but somebody comes back to me, where do I keep the registers in the store? We have to find a space. I think that's something what we need to understand. This transformation is going to happen soon. So with this, I think I will probably, just setting up the context, and after that, let the experts speak and some questions they'll be doing. And we have we're a little behind the schedule, so we'll try to rush it up. We'll have probably one round of questions, and after that, probably whatever you can say about the topic. Today, we have LIMS, Lab Information Management System. They speak one language, that's no doubt. But LIS and LIMS are still taken as one and more. People don't really understand what is LIS, what is LIMS. There's a confusion which is definitely there. And they work independently of the hospital workflow. They stand alone, they're working somewhere. We don't integrate it at all. Secondly, the PACS. We have Sunita Kapoor sitting out here from the largest one of the imaging centers. She's a pathologist by herself in any case. The PACS speaks another one. PACS are functionally as a storage rather than the intelligence today. Similarly, AI is layered without integration. We have digitized the report, but have we done digitize the intelligence? I think there's a question mark, but the expert would like to answer that. Radiology, pathology sit in a parallel world. Still we have reports which says, radiology reports, please correlate clinically. And our turnaround time of the reports is defined as the sample which comes from the lab and report is signed off. The fact is, this is not going to work. The TAT has to become CAT, CAT means the clinical action time. From the time what report has been delivered, report sample was picked up, delivered, tested, and the action has been taken. If the action has not been taken, what is the point of having a report? This is a transformation which is happening today. And, so I think probably I'll just straight away go to the question first. The first question is the current state of digital diagnostics in India. My first question will go to Yash. That's something you are building up some infrastructure. You've been probably working, I'm sure, must have interacted multiple labs across India, hundreds of labs probably must have approached and talked to them about what it is. How the digitally mature are Indian laboratories today? And how many are still confusing basic LIS with fully integrated LIM system? And what are the barriers? We need to hear from you, please.
Since I am seeing this market very closely on how labs are using softwares and how they have integrations built in. So I think we have just started, and we are at a very naive state where more than 90% of the labs still don't have a cloud solution. So I think we are very, very behind in terms of how technology should have been adopted as we see the global competitions around the world. But I also see this as an opportunity because in every sector, when tech was evolving, there was one layer of, let's say, server-based softwares, then it traveled to cloud-based softwares. Then there was an analytical layer which was put in to analyze all that data which was there on cloud. Now we have an AI layer also. So I think we can leapfrog directly from the server and skip the two cloud journey and the analytics journey, and can directly go to cloud plus AI journey, since we don't have majority of the people still are not using cloud. So I think this is an opportunity as well, but yeah, I think the stage is very, very naive.
No, but I think just what are the why? I mean, I think I have come from a generation we used to have a printed report, fill in the blanks, and then sign it across and give it to the patient. Later came you have window based. There's a format out there, type it out, and the reports are signed up. But I think any guess how many labs are still using that convention and how many have actually moved to LIMS? India has almost 200,000 plus labs. Any guess on that? And why there is hesitancy from moving from, well, paper is probably moved out, but still you can see the government hospital you find, they still have the printed paper, pre-printed and fill in the blank reports have been signed, stamped and given all across. Technology is evolved. That cost, there's an error, this can be simplified. But what is the hesitation in your view?
So almost, more than 80% of such small to medium-sized labs, let's say in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, they are still using Microsoft Word for creating reports. For them, a software and digitalization only mean that they just have to print a digital report. And I think the core reason why things are not moving that fast is, I think one is from the governance angle as well. I think we don't have standardization on what should be the standard operation protocols for running a lab. And I think secondly is also we don't have companies like us who are behind this motive of digitalizing these diagnostic labs. So I think we are the first venture-backed company who has grown so fast in the last 2.5 years. So this was not done before, right? And I think that is also one of the reasons why these labs are not getting digitalized.
Okay, thanks. I think probably there are many more reasons actually. But I think one of the suggestions is let's have regulations in place. I think that's probably nothing doing. Without that, nothing will move. Probably but we are far away from that, I can say that. But I think soon we'll reach there. Then come back to, I think, Dr. Alok now. I think I have a question for you now. You are a renal pathology expert and you are working in one of the largest pathology lab, probably world, maybe one of the largest in the world for that matter. India, of course, there's no doubt about it. And in this today pathology is highly complex and a very, very complex pathology. How critical is the seamless integration between the lab software, because you're working on imaging systems and clinical records, and at the clinical level, number one. And how much digitalization has truly improved diagnostic precision in your eyes?
Thank you. Thank you for the question, sir. And I think it's a very relevant question in the sense we've been talking about digitization and AI and all those integrations into diagnostic and clinical workflows. And even today, a lot of the workflow, even in larger labs, is at least partly in silos. And I think that that's the ultimate stage which we want to reach to, sir. Because at one end, from my point of view as a pathologist working day to day, looking at slides is one part of the thing. Clinical data is in another silo. The follow-up is another silo. The radiology is another silo. So we kind of look at up 3 or 4 softwares, look at them individually, try to integrate the whole things mostly at a manual level, and then create a report which kind of gets digitized. So this is so even in large labs, although this is significantly digitized and there is a lot of AI layers to it, but I think still the criticality is very important, because unless we integrate these various parts of the entire workforce seamlessly, we are not going to reach that level of digitization, or even we are not being able to implement the AI solutions which are already available in the market and at our hands completely. I think that's a very, very important thing going forward. I think it's extremely critical to cut it short. Without integration of all the parts of the workflow, it is not possible to do a good justice to what we are doing in terms of a clinical report.
I think, that second question, subsequent follow-up question to you for renal pathology has always been like mathematics. That was, we were taught when we were doing our post-graduation. They said, count number of glomeruli, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Has this introduction of the software and the technology helped to make your report more precise, more better? And if so, in what context?
Absolutely. So I think you're very correct here in the sense renal pathology is probably the epitome of complexity in pathology, in the terms that it's not a single workflow, it is multiple workflows which have to be get integrated. The light microscopy, immunofluorescence, the electron microscopy, the clinical data, and the follow-up data. So everything has to get integrated. And yes, there has been a significant improvement in terms of bringing standardization into the whole workflow. That's the most important part, because a significant part of it used to be subjective at one point of time. A lot of objectivity has been created by use of these digital workflows, and we can actually quantify what we are trying to do. So 12 to 13 is now 16, right? So we have a clear-cut number which we can give to our digital workflows. That's one part of it. Secondly, what it has done, because it has digitized the whole thing, we are now able to look at the patient data in a longitudinal manner. And that's probably the most important, and I feel the most impactful outcome of this digitization and implementation of artificial intelligence workflows, that we are now able to look at the patient journey, not only from the standpoint of biopsy and clinical data, but we are also using that longitudinal data which we have, being a large lab, legacy lab, trying to create algorithms which are in future useful for other patients and as well for the larger population also. That's
I think
one
I'll
very important
come back
point.
to you the second round, one specific question. I think, but maybe you can answer it. Do you still feel that with this, we can get away with the renal pathologist?
No.
Right.
So I think that's a short answer, but
Absolutely
yeah,
right.
that's how
There's
it
no
is.
second thought about it.
Absolutely.
I think we'll come back why probably the second round if the time permits. Now I come back to Pooja. Pooja, you are heading one of the largest, the CIO of one of the highly, you can say, specialized laboratory chains across India. And so I just want to understand from you, what percentage of integration, is happening in most Indian diagnostic networks? Because integration, I'm talking about basically from how much do you still, the labs work in silos, in fragmented, 10 different labs, 10 different departments, managing a hospital-based lab or a client-based lab or clinical or polyclinic and your lab and somebody's lab and a third-party lab. How much is actually there? Everything exists, I'm sure technology will say, everything exists, I can do it right away, give me a contract, I'll finish it up in 1 month. But how much actually is the ground? And secondly, what are the barriers? Why, if it's happening, yes, plus point. If it's not happening, why? Your answers. Well, I think as a mandate, that's a big question mark. But I think the very important, let me share an experience, because you have, today we have, government is talking about a unique health ID. Everybody should get a unique health ID. And this was a task force which was created in 2017. I was member of the task force, and where we were supposed to create all the diagnostics into one kind of a thing. And it took us 1.5 years how to standardize that. Because the 10 different labs for same test, CBC complete blood test, have different parameters, different nomenclatures. Liver function somewhere has gamma GT, somewhere doesn't have gamma GT, somewhere has got albumin. There's so much same test, different nomenclature at different interpretations. Now, how do you integrate that? That is, I think, very, very. So it took 1.5 years for us to how do we create a single, and India doesn't still have a single code of pathology, standard code doesn't exist today. That's something we have. Then we adopted Lions Code, which is actually from the internationally accredited, and that code has got everything defined. Even a single procedure is defined, very well defined, combination, multiple permutation. I think the need is standardization probably. Then once the standardization comes, because of that till today, because there are, many of the labs, majority of the labs are still not integrated. Unique health ID has not been created. What is the point in having a diagnostics unique health ID when probably there are 200,000 labs, I get tests done there, reports are not available to me. Only about 3,000 to 4,000 labs still have integrated that, no more. That's another challenge. I think, and another thing probably let me ask you, does this any technology limitation, do we have any limitation technology or we have technology?
Technology, like we already have the APIs and systems that is already there, which has been
Okay,
standardized.
let me just standardize is fine. Let me talk about inside the lab. Now you have inside the lab, you have equipments, interface, everything is happening. Now, why don't you have a procurement system which is based on the real-time consumption?
Right. So,
What is the limitation? Why have you not actually, that's simple. You have all the software. Orders are given by this procurement. So vendor engagement, that could be another way. What is the limitation there? Is the mindset or leadership? I'm going to ask you that. I'll come back to you probably in the second round, one small question on that and follow it up. Now come to Suraj, I think my question to you. You are, I think, one of the service diagnostic laboratories and one of the handling that various operational aspects. Where do you still find the Indian labs lose maximum time operationally? Which part of, because there is a multiple stages, pre-analytical, analytical, post-analytical, what is the loss of time? And now, how do you balance that? How can you balance it and how can you make it, because there are technology exists. You can track, you can even track from here to whatever is happening across, but everything is expensive. How do you make it affordable? Like, can you see that, especially in tier 2 and tier 3? Will it be possible and what are the challenges?
Well, thank you for your question, sir. Currently, if we say that where Indian laboratories are losing their operational time, if I would say that it is uh, it is absolutely with the automation or whether it is with the workflow, well, there is no doubt that we are losing the operational time basically from the end to end. I mean, if we talk about simply that, if we say simply in such a way that the automation is something which is reducing the TAT time or it is just the workflow. So it's actually a process and the system gap basically. Until unless if we think that the entire process is happening perfectly, then honestly I would say in terms of the automation, when it comes to the automation is not only about the analyzers, it's not only about generating the reports. When it comes to the automation of workflow, until and unless the automation of workflow is not in line, then we won't be able to increase the operational time. So something where I feel that it is all about automation. The integration is also really important when it comes to generating the report. Not only with the integration is going to help our pathologist, because sometimes it happens like machine is automated, obviously automation is going to provide the speed to our entire system. But somewhere, if the queue management of the entire reports are not in that way that doctors, they need to wait for the entire report generation, then it is going to be a big issue. So I think this is something on which we need to work on. The entire process and the system gaps, it has to be fulfilled, which is going to be, putting somewhere, I would say in a very single line, that a running lab and a scalable lab, it totally depends on the automation of the entire laboratory.
Do you think that near future, how many years will that take? I mean, complete automation of tier 2, tier 3 and tier system. Or will it ever happen in India?
Well, basically, if we talk about tier 2 and 3 cities, it's the affordability is not the strategy. Basically, in 2 and 3 cities, it's more than affordability, it's our responsibility. You know, that in case if the diagnostics cost is going to be expensive, then people delay testing, you know. And in case if the people delay testing, it is going to be reactive rather than preventive. So I think it is really important in tier 2 and 3 cities that the way we work in 2 and 3 cities, if we talk about the collection centers, they need to communicate with the central lab. Because in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, they do not have that kind of infrastructure for every collection center. So it's really important that the communication, and as you know, Pooja ma'am said that it is really important that the integration has to be accumulated with the entire process. It cannot be just with the reporting, because especially in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, manual reportings are being done too on the you know, normal pages. But again, that also depends that in tier 2, 3 cities, the business module is what doctors are getting, I mean the labs are getting. So it could be B2B and B2C. Now it comes to B2C, with the integration, the entire report generation is very much possible, but that cannot be possible in B2B. Sometimes the diagnostics and the clinics, they wanted to print their report in their format, which is also not possible in B2B, but yes.
But I think let's hope. I'm probably a very optimistic person. I think we will have soon, and I'm sure we have team out here,
Absolutely.
we have technology guys here. I think sooner or later we'll achieve it very fast. But I think the one important point coming out of discussion is probably the entire cloud system, lab from pre-analytical to analytical to post and afterwards. I think we are probably adopting parts of it. We are not taking the entire workflow and process. And this is the problem. I think for that probably a leadership or maybe the mindset of the consumer awareness and the technology people have to make it affordable. I think that's the future. I think thank you so much. We'll come back to you again. Sunita, I think, Sunita, you need, because you are a quality expert. I know you have worked in the space of quality accreditation a lot. You are a pathology profession and you are also run one of the largest radiology diagnostic imaging center. So keeping that in mind, the question to you is, firstly, is you can say any labs which are today are bigger labs or whatever, this technology, does it make our labs digitally compliant for audits at any point of time? That's one question. I mean, you have everything, you can be just real-time audits can happen with that. And then, how is helping otherwise, if it's not, how it's helping to maintain your documentation, the processes and analytics, and of course, consistency in quality, your reply. I think, yeah, rightly said. One point which is in my mind, I could share with my thought, maybe I may be wrong, you may be, because one is skilling. Because when it comes to radiology, the day one you enter your specialty, you probably see an image. You've been trained on X-ray, CT, image like this. In pathology, it's not actually like this. Pathology is multiple factors that you probably, something in the microscope, some biochemical, some histochemical, all kind of a thing together. So I think probably it's time. We have been advocating we have multiple forces, that the technology, the imaging, whatever, digitalization, should go back. The training should start from your post-graduation. If you're trained on images in pathology, if you're trained in highly trained AI-driven pathology or whatever images thing, I think you will better adopt it faster. Mindset will change. I think that change is required. Probably the people who are providing the technology should go back to the medical colleges. We are not even talking to them today. Go back to the college, tell all the postgraduates, I'll give you digital scanners, let the images be read from there. And I think the moment you do that, I think a lot more will happen, better adoption will happen. I think just quick round, 1 minute each, probably we are short of time. I think anything you want to speak, you can talk about, to start from Yash from your end. where we talked about AI in the previous one, something AI in analytics and turnaround time. Where in AI in lab software, particularly adding value today? What is any labs are being using AI, and what are the common 3 point which value is being added? Yash.
So I'll start with something uncomfortable, right? I think that we all are just living uh, in a very, like, we have a very bad perception of AI right now. I think we all are just using AI as a buzzword. So be it a diagnostic center or a healthcare institution or anyone else in India. So I think the question should not be like what are the top 5 things that people are using in AI today. I think the question should be, are we ready to, get into that transformation era where AI is there, you have your 5 agents that can do all of your tasks. So I think we are very behind in terms of all those discussions right now. And but I think the technology is moving very fast. Sooner, let's say, in the next 7 to 8 months, we will be having agents that are as good as pathologists, as good as radiologists. So again, the question then arises that how we are going to integrate them in our workflows. So it again, drawbacks to do we have systems that can integrate with them or not? So yeah, I would like to give this as an answer for the
I
question.
think rightly said. I think first system should be go back, adopt the cloud migration first. Then you talk about it. I think we talk a lot of AI in diagnostic, but I think more of a hype, less in actual uses today, frankly. But I think once you go to cloud migration, automatically things will come out, right? Okay.
I just
Any-
want to say one
yeah.
more thing, like, but it's not like that we have not adopted, but I think we have not adopted, but the technology is ready, right? We will be having good agents, which will be very good in terms of the clinical tasks they'll be doing. So I think we should think about it very seriously.
No, they are, I think, with some diagnostic centers, bigger labs, they are even individual based lab. They are working, they adopted that. I'll say for predictive alerts kind of a thing, quality control, monitoring, the workflow, temperature sensitivity, a lot of things have been used. But I think very, very minuscule number. But I think we are, like rightly said, let's migrate to the cloud first and then probably start from there. Then, Alok, I think my one next question, last question to you. Can one what one digital change would most will improve patient outcomes, especially in specialized pathology beyond? You think? What is the one thing you feel change will bring it out?
Yeah, actually, in fact, I'll give a context to this. I was at the AI Summit recently and we participated in a panel discussion there on a very similar topic. And I'll again give the same perspective. So I kind of view it from a bird's eye view. And my vision for this probably is to create a collaborative pipeline. So I think we know, right, data, healthcare data probably is the most difficult part to manage. It is owned by the patient, the pathologists or the diagnosticians are the custodians, but state is a health. Health is a state matter. So it's a very complex data to handle. Having said that, unless we integrate our data from across the country, because right now what we are doing, we are working on data sets which are foreign to our country. They are not our data sets. And we are building our AI algorithms and all our digitized pathology workflows are based on that data, which is kind of borrowed from the West or the other areas. We really do not have our own data. So my vision there is to integrate all the larger centers, all the larger pathology centers, radiology centers, the clinics and the hospitals, kind of create a pipeline where the data is seamlessly transferred between these two, of course, within the regulatory frameworks. And then when we create those algorithms or data sets or foundation models on that data, they will be the ones which will be actually useful for our country, and we will get meaningful AI solutions from that data. I think that happens, pipeline integration happens, we would still be borrowing data and working on models which are not really ours and relying on outcomes which probably are not correct going forward. So that's my vision for the
Yeah, I think well said. One thing I probably feel is going to be working in a second opinion in the time, which is going to definitely change. You probably on your cloud, you integrate it. Anywhere from anywhere, you can take specialized opinion, and that's something will be a very important. And I'm sure you must be using it. You're in lab. I'm aware that you use like this facility.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one very important. So we use it in our network, and even for the specialized where you have very few experts in the country. For example, my specialty renal pathology, you have probably 10 people in the country who do this. So these kind of networks where you get access to expert opinions based on this data, I think that's going to be a game changer going forward.
Thank you so much. Coming to Pooja, I think. Now you work in oncology, and oncology is, I think, when it comes to oncology, I think a lot of the software, technology, bioinformatics have been already adopted. We have molecular genomics. How do you evaluate an AI tool when you adopt an oncology diagnostics?
So, currently, if I talk about evaluating an AI tool in oncology or any of the specialized sector would be, there could be different parameters for that. First, surely, the parameter is that how the variation would happen once we go on this AI tool. So what would be the variations, like if we talk about tumor assessment? So what would be the variability? Is there any observation that is better as compared to what we are observing right now? That is one of the factors that is surely required. Second, it is again like where our data is going. Is it on a cloud? Whether that has to be integrated. Will the software will be able to work with our scanners, with our LIMS, with our packs? So depending upon that, what our current methodology we are following for storing our data and going forward, how that AI tool will be connected to it. Is it that we have to change our basic structures just because of that AI tool? So from a technology person's perspective, we need to take care of that. Going forward, as DPDPA has come in, so how the privacy of the data would be maintained using that AI tool, that again is one of the very important feature that we need to take care. And again, the thing that is happening is, what were the use cases? Where was that data actually being monitored? If a tool is showing us maybe 200 instances, was it on the India data? Was it on Western data? That also again matters a lot, because what is happening is there are many companies which are coming up with the data, but based on the regions also, the calculations, the parameters, everything is different. So that again becomes an important parameter of evaluation. And lastly, I would say is that we need to keep clinician mindset while calculating or while evaluating any of the tools that we go for. Because I am a strong believer that human intelligence helps when we are working with HI and AI together. Instead of just thinking that we want to just use this tool and remove the other employees or the workforce, we need to give them a tool wherein they can make a better decision. So we need to keep their mindset that whether it is helping them in improving their TAT or whether this tool is again increasing the workforce for them. So based these things, surely I evaluate any of the AI tools.
Well, rightly said. The tools are ready, but which I think we make them enable our employees to use the tool,
Yeah.
and probably integrate them well so that everything comes out a good result. I think
100%.
anything you want to add, Suraj? No question. You can ask whatever you want to add.
You wanted me to ask a question?
Whatever you want to add on this, what we're talking about.
Okay, if I would like to add something in it, I mean, absolutely right. When it comes to the workflow, technically, if I would say that if the AI is giving the entire report generation, everything is there. But somewhere, again, it again comes on the automation part, that the analyzers are being automated. I mean, of course, the automation is there in the analyzer, the automation is there in the reporting, but if the automation is not going to be in the workflow, having said that, as Pooja ma'am mentioned, that dependency on the AI and the analytical tools are as predictable until and unless the human intelligence is not there. So decentralizing somewhere the human intelligence is also not good there. So yes, I would say that we should use the technology to reduce the TAT, but we should also put the automation in the workflow so that it will be preventive.
Thank you.
Thank
Sunita,
you.
you want to add something?
I don't think we need to be worried about anybody's jobs with AI coming. I find the problem statement first. People just
Chalo, I think, thank you so much. I think we could have continued endlessly. There's a lot of discussion point, but I think what I'd like to just add one important thing. In fact, of course, Alok said, everybody says, AI is what? When you talk about AI, I've always been saying it many platforms. AI is nothing also known as artificial intelligence. AI could also be actual intelligence. If you don't use actual intelligence while using artificial intelligence, what will happen? Or if you use your actual intelligence while using artificial intelligence, if you use, it can be a awesome intelligence. If you don't use, it'll be awful intelligence. I think that's something what we definitely need to do that. And lastly, I think when we conclude, I think the session is coming out with a few important points. Modernization in diagnostic is not about installing better software. It's about building better systems of trust. LIMS, PACS, AI, cloud, infrastructure, these are enablers. But without integration, governance, and critical intent, they remain two, and they will never be adopted. The future of Indian healthcare will not be defined by how much technology we adopt, but how intelligently we align it with our workflow, quality standards, and patient outcomes. And I have a wish, I can probably think from that point of view. I wish from lab bench to cloud, let systems align. Let LIMS and imaging speak in one design. Let LIMS and imaging speak in one design. Let intelligence sharpen every report we chart. Let intelligence sharpen every report we chart. Yet, Diagnostic India must still beat with a human heart. Thank you so much, I think, for all being here. Thank you so much.